What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. The new AP item updates are out on the PB and I'm getting a chance to take a look at them, mess around, and see how they perform in action. And I gotta say, they're actually pretty cool. The most exciting item of the group is probably the HEXTECH STARBURST. For those who don't know, this item costs 2,750 gold and gives 300 health, 80 ability power, 10% cooldown reduction, with the unique active of Firebolt. Dash forward and unleash a Nova of fire that does damage based on level and 25% of your AP as magic damage, with a 30-second cooldown. The dash is true movement, so it can be cast in any direction at will, but it cannot go over walls, no matter how small. It's the specific mechanic of the dash, and it has a range of 300 units. And after messing around with it and testing the item on a handful of different champions, here are my conclusions for just how good this item really is. Let's get started. First off, we have to take a look at the stat line, because that's probably the most important part to any item being relevant, regardless of how insane the active might be. If it doesn't have the stats to back it up, forget about it. In terms of stats, the HEXTECH STARBURST has 300 health, which is equivalent to 800 gold. It also has 80 ability power, which is equivalent to 1,740 gold. And on top of that, it has 10% cooldown reduction, which is equal to 300 gold. This puts the item at a total gold value of 2,840 gold in terms of just the raw stats, which is a gold efficiency value of about 103%. And that's without taking into account the active in any way. Now, 103% gold efficiency for a fully completed item is not ridiculous by any means. Most fully completed items have gold efficiency values of around 100% to maybe 120%, depending on the item's passives and actives. So it's not insane at all. However, it is pretty reasonable and it's solid. It's certainly not a weakness of this item by any means. Whereas an item like Sunfire Cape might have a weakness in the gold efficiency of just 86% to make up for the incredible passive, HEXTECH STARBURST does have solid stats to back up the active. So right off the bat, you're not making that much of a trade-off at all to be building this item. And at 2,750 gold, you can finish it quite quickly, and the build path is solid as well, allowing you to have decent itemization for laning. HEXTECH Revolver got changed a bit and is now a more impactful item for laning, and it allows the ramp up to this item to be pretty easy and satisfying, whereas other AP items might take forever to complete or have awkward parts to build that aren't that impactful. And the stats you actually get are all super useful. There's no like random health regen or some other useless stat. There's health, ability power, and cooldown reduction. 3 fantastic stats that any mage would want. So HEXTECH STARBURST checks out through and through in terms of the stats and build path and gold efficiency. As for the active, it's one that is pretty interesting to me as it has the potential to bring a lot to the kit of a champion. Being true movement and on a 30-second cooldown, despite the short range of 300, the actual usability and versatility this active has just blows my mind, honestly. You can use it for simple things like getting back to lane faster and smaller trades, but it's also good enough to be used as an escape or as an initiation tool. It's just awesome. This is the kind of active a mage can really make great use of, and the versatility of its use is one that will allow this item to find success on potentially any champion in the entire game that can benefit from building those stats. In addition, since the active does damage, it can also add to your burst damage combos by an unexpected amount, since the damage value is enough to be relevant and it has AP scaling too. The main type of champion I tested this on is the one that it's definitely going to be the best on, which are the immobile mages. Now this kind of item is just like the dream for an immobile mage. It gives you an extra movement ability so that you no longer have to rely on your flash, and that's a really big deal. Whether it's an escape, initiation potential, or just a tool to kite, this item is incredibly versatile with the active it brings, and on a cooldown of 30 seconds, the amount of usability this item has is just through the roof. There's no denying that the active would be seriously useful on any mage really, not just the immobile ones, and that is great and it makes the item strong and viable. My main concern with the item is that, especially on immobile mages, the fact that they lack mobility is a major weakness in their kit that contributes to part of their entire design. Being immobile is a big weakness for them that makes their gameplay a lot more healthy. On someone like Annie, if she gets in range of you, a lot of the times you can just get one shot or you're going to take a massive amount of damage from her combo, and that burst combo sucks to play against, but it's gated by the fact that it's extremely difficult for her to get in range of the proper target in a teamfight, and that results in her being heavily reliant on flash. But with the new HEXTECH STARBURST, that kinda gets thrown out the window, and her initiation power becomes insane, since this item is just always off cooldown in fights, and it's an extremely reliable and versatile type of mobility. And even on the mobile mages, this type of effect is quite similar. It's only on the hyper-mobile mages like Kassadin that this item might not be as useful. And this type of item potentially creates a problem in terms of Riot's design philosophy, in the sense that it can potentially remove counterplay from a lot of champions, by giving them something that they were very much not supposed to have, which covers up one of, if not their actual biggest weakness. Sure, mobility creep is kind of a problem in League of Legends, but there's a big reason why Annie is immobile, and it's not because she's an old champion. There's loads of champions that were made during alpha or beta of League of Legends that have mobility. Annie is immobile because her being immobile is a key weakness that is important for her kit to have, and removing that with this item potentially creates a problem. And Annie's not the only example of that, there's a bunch of other champions too. However, it is possible that this problem, this design flaw if you will, might just be solved completely during the mage reworks actually that are coming very soon, potentially on the same patch that this item does, 6.9. There's reworks coming for a ridiculous amount of champions, and Annie is one of them, as are a bunch of others too. I'm not saying that this item will create that design flaw, because it's possible that the design flaw will become completely irrelevant after the reworks, honestly. I'm just saying that the item has the potential to contribute to unhealthy design, and as such, I'm just concerned about it. One thing I do want to make clear is that this is a seriously awesome item. In playing with it, it was just so much fun to just use for fights and skirmishes and picks and everything. It's a really awesome tool that adds a lot of excitement to the gameplay, and I'm definitely going to miss it when I go back to playing ranked solo queue. It just adds so much power that you as a champion have to pull off your combos. So with that said, a lot of people are saying that this item maybe shouldn't exist, because in the sense, like I said, it gives mages access to something that was probably supposed to be a major weakness in their kit. And while that's true, the fact remains that I actually had an insane amount of fun playing with this item, and with that said, I'd really like to see it being added into the game, but it probably does need to get toned down a little bit. At the very least, the active should probably have a cooldown closer to like 60, maybe even 90 seconds, because at a 30-second cooldown, I mean, I was using this thing to get back to lane faster, like so much stuff that's just so insignificant, all sorts of random stuff that a dash on a mage has no business doing whatsoever. The only saving grace is that the range on the dash is incredibly low, but I do see it as a range that is large enough to be impactful. It's definitely strong and it has the stat line to back it up, and don't quote me on this, but I do think it will probably get nerfed before release, since remember this is on the PvE and it is coming out in patch 6.9, so it won't be for like a month or so. But I would recommend maybe bringing out your favorite mage from out of the closet and practicing them a little bit in anticipation. And I'm definitely looking forward to being able to play with this item in ranked on a lot of different champions. And that just about wraps up my thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, and if you didn't, please hit that dislike. Subscribe if you want. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.